أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Lesson number 128, Surah Ar-Rad, ayah number 18 to 43. لِلَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ. For those people who have responded to their Lord, for them is al-husna, the best reward. For who? Those people who respond to the call of their Lord. How do they respond to the call of their Lord? That Allah calls them and they believe. Allah calls them and they believe. Or Allah gives them an instruction, a command, and they obey. They follow the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. So what does it mean by istajabu? Two meanings. That first of all, they believe in their Lord. And secondly, they are obedient to the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given by following His messenger. So for such people is al-husna, the excellent reward, the good reward. And what is that excellent reward? Jannah and the pleasure of Allah. So no matter what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls them to, what is their response? Their response is of sami'na wa ata'na. We hear and we obey. So because of this attitude of obedience, of acceptance, of responding positively, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them the most excellent reward, Jannah and His pleasure. But on the other hand, وَالَّذِينَ لَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُ, those people who do not respond to Him, how? That first of all, they don't believe in Allah. When the messenger calls the people to Allah, they reject. Or when Allah gives them a command, He gives them some instruction, they refuse to follow it. So for such people, لَوْ if, anna indeed, lahum for them, if those people had, مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا, whatever that is in the earth, all together. If these people were given everything that is in the earth, and not just everything that is in the earth, but وَمِثْلَهُ مَعَهُ, but its equivalent along with it. Mithlahu, its equivalent. Mithl is like. So, an amount that is just like the earth and everything in it. So, in other words, they had 2 times the earth and everything in it. Still, what would they do? لَفْتَدَوْا بِهِ, surely they would give it in ransom. They would give all of it in ransom. Why? In order to free themselves from the punishment. Because in the hereafter, when they will see the punishment of hisab, of accounting, and the punishment of hellfire, it will be so tremendous that they will readily, without any hesitation, offer everything in order to free themselves. However, on that day, they will not own anything, not even a single penny. From where can they get the entire earth and its equivalent along with it in order to recompense themselves? So in other words, they will not be able to free themselves. And as a result, أُولَٰئِكَ those, lahum for them, su'ul hisab is the evil reckoning. Al-hisab is reckoning, accountability. That for such people is an evil hisab, meaning that they will be questioned about everything and they will be recompensed for everything. None of which will be forgiven. Because think about it. For example, every single Muslim, he has done some good, some bad. And when we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allahumma hasibna hisaban yasira, then what does it mean? That, oh Allah, don't question us. That why we did something wrong. Because if a person is questioned, why did you do this? Then that's it. He's gone. He's done. He's finished. Remember that hadith in which Aisha radhiyallahu anha asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So she was told that whoever is questioned, why? He's doomed. He's finished. So for such people will be a su'ul hisab, meaning they will be questioned about everything and they will be recompensed for everything, forgiven for nothing. Su'ul hisab. وَمَأْوَاهُمْ جَهَنَّمْ, and their abode is hellfire. وَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادِ, and how evil is it as a resting place. Mihad is from the root letters, Mim Ha Dal. And Mihad is basically a place of rest. Or it is a fold that holds something, that contains something in itself. So Jahannam is called Mihad. Why? Because that is where these people will be. And they will be unable to come out of it. So what do we learn in this ayah? That there are two kinds of people. And they meet two completely different outcomes. The first type is of those people who respond to their Lord, who believe in Him, who obey Him. Whenever they hear of a command, they say, Sami'na wa ata'na. Not maybe, or I don't think so, I can't do this. No. Anything that they hear, it has come to them from Allah, their response is of obedience. So for such people, there's the excellent reward awaiting them. Best reward. Then there's another group of people, which is of those who do not listen, those who do not obey, those who ignore, who do not respond the call of their Lord. Instead, they run after this world. And such people, if they are given everything that is in the earth, and its equivalent along with that, they will wish to free themselves from the punishment on that day. However, they will not be given anything like that. So for them will be a very difficult, a very tough hisab. Just imagine a very difficult exam in which you're being asked about every single thing. Every single thing you're being asked about. And there's no time limit to it. You know, sometimes if a question paper is given, it's given according to the time that the person has to take that test. But just imagine, a person is interrogated, he is questioned about every single thing. Not just about what he said, what he did, but why, with what intention. And this is what people dislike most, being interrogated. This is what people dread most. But for such people, is a very evil hisab. They'll be interrogated. Why did you do this? Why did you say that? Why did you not do this? And their abode is hellfire. We learn in Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 87 and 88, Qala, he said, meaning Dhul Qarnayn, he said, أَمَّا مَنْ ظَلَمَ فَسَوْفَ نُعَذِّبُهُ ثُمَّ يُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ فَيُعَذِّبُهُ عَذَابًا نُكْرًا. That as for the one who does wrong, yes, we will give him punishment. But he will be returned to his Lord, and He will punish him with a terrible punishment. وَأَمَّا مَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلَهُ جَزَاءً الْحُسْنَى وَسَنَقُولُ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِنَا يُسْرًا. But as for the one who believes and does righteousness, he will have a reward of paradise, and we will speak to him from our command with ease. So two different people, two different ways of life, and two completely different outcomes. What's the difference? Responding to Allah and not responding to Allah. Obeying Allah and disobeying Allah. Afaman, then is he who, ya'lamu, he knows, meaning the person who knows, that annama, that indeed that which, unzila ilayka, what has been revealed to you, meaning to the Prophet ﷺ, min rabbika, from your Lord, it is al-haq, it is the truth. The person who knows, who believes with conviction, that whatever has been revealed to you from your Lord is the truth. This person, can he be like, kaman, like the one who, huwa, he is a'ma, blind? Blind to what? Blind to what has been revealed to you. One person knows that the Qur'an is true, and the other person is completely blind to the Qur'an. Are these two people equal? They're not equal at all. Neither in their lifestyle, nor in their actions, nor in their thinking, nor in their end result. They can never be equal. Because the previous ayah explains to us that people who respond to Allah, they will have husna. And those people who do not respond, who are a'ma, who become blind, for them is an evil hisab. Two completely different people. Two completely different results. إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ, indeed, he takes heed. Only he takes heed. Who takes heed? Ulul albab, those people who have intellect. Only such people take a lesson. If you notice at the beginning of the surah, what did we learn? That the Qur'an that has been revealed to the Prophet ﷺ is the truth. However, the majority of the people, they don't believe in that. They don't believe in it. And up until now, we have been reading about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes the truth through His signs, through His power, through His authority and ability. And now, comparisons are being struck. That a person who acknowledges the truth and a person who does not acknowledge it, they cannot be equal. And who is the intelligent person? The one who has ilm. إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Ulul albab are referring to who? أَفَمَنْ يَعْلَمُ أَنَّمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقِّ. So a person who has ilm of the Qur'an, such a person is intelligent. And with this ilm, he recognizes the truth. He recognizes the truthfulness of the Qur'an. You see, there are two ways of accepting the truth. One is the way of taqleed. What does taqleed mean? Blindly following someone. Basically, taqleed is from qalada. Remember the word qalada? Qala'id, the garlanded animals. So basically, it is a strap that is put around an animal, and with that an animal is controlled. The animal has no idea where he's being led, so he just blindly follows. So similarly, taqleed is to blindly follow. That whatever people are doing, you do the exact same thing. Whatever people believe in, you have the same belief. Whatever they say, you say the exact same thing. This is one way of accepting the truth. That just because my parents are Muslim, I am Muslim. Just because my people, as a nation, we are Muslim, I am also Muslim. And this is just by chance that your family was Muslim. What if they were not Muslim? Then what would you do? So this is one way of accepting the truth. Another way of accepting is with shu'ur, with ilm. That consciously, deliberately, a person learns, a person researches, he understands, and he accepts the truth. Which is better? Shu'ur. Shu'ur is better. So over here, this is exactly what is being mentioned. That there is one person who knows, who is confident that the Qur'an is 100% accurate. And there is another person who is blind to it. He has no idea. He's never read it. He's never opened it up. He has no idea whatsoever about the Qur'an. He just says it's true because his father says it's true. He just believes in it because his father says we're supposed to believe in it. Who is better? The one who uses his mind. Ulul albab. The one who gains knowledge. The one who learns. And these two people cannot be equal. Because a person who believes in the Qur'an, he understands it, he implements it, he spreads it to other people, cannot be like the one who does not believe in it, who does not implement it, who just blindly follows people. They're not equal at all. Why? Because when a person learns the Qur'an, when a person is 100% confident in the truthfulness of the Qur'an, then there's a change in his actions. And what is that change? That change is described in the following ayat. That who are these people? الَّذِينَ, those who يُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ, they fulfill the covenant of Allah. Ahdillah. What is the ahd of Allah? The covenant of Allah? This has been understood in a number of ways. That first of all, the covenant which the entire mankind made with who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the covenant of alast. So over there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked everyone, Alastu bi rabbikum? What did people respond? Qalu bala. Yes, of course you are. Shahidna. We bear witness that you are our Lord. So this is a promise that we made. And in this dunya, when a person becomes a believer, when he accepts Iman, then in reality, what is he doing? He is fulfilling the promise that he made with Allah. Secondly, Ahdillah has been understood as covenants that are made with Allah through the prophets. Like for example, the previous nations, for example, Bani Israel, we learned about many covenants that they had taken, that they had made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through who? Through their prophets. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. So all of those mithaq, they were through who? Through the prophets of Allah. And thirdly, Ahdillah also applies to those covenants that are made with people in the name of Allah. Those covenants that are made with people in the name of Allah. Allah's name is taken. Whether they are formal or informal. Formal, for example, nikah. Or informal, like for example, an appointment. So الَّذِينَ يُوفُونَ بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ وَلَا يَنْقُضُونَ الْمِيثَاقَ, and they do not break the contract. They do not break the contracts that they make, the treaties, the covenants, the agreements that they make. What is mithaq? Mithaq is also used for a covenant. But this is different from ahd. How? That on mithaq, a person has sworn an oath that he will definitely fulfill it. Because wathaqa is literally to bind something, to tie something with a knot. So you strengthen it, you tie it up how? By making an oath, by swearing. So لا ينقضون الميثاق. They don't break the contract. Al-mithaq over here is general. That all of the covenants that they have made, they don't break them. First of all, they fulfill the promises they have made with Allah. Secondly, they don't break promises. And this is the characteristic of who? Of who? Of a believer. Because a person who breaks his promises, then that is what? Hypocrisy. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Ayatul munafiqi salasun, idha haddatha kadhaba, wa idha tumina khana, wa idha wa'ada akhlafa. When he makes a promise, he breaks it, he goes against it. وَالَّذِينَ, and those who, more characteristics, more changes that appear in a person as he responds to the call of Allah. And we need to analyze ourselves in the light of these characteristics. Because who is being explained over here? The one who is confident that this Qur'an is from Allah, the one who knows, the one who believes, and the one who responds to the call of Allah. That first of all, he will fulfill the promises that he has made with Allah, that he has made with the people in the name of Allah. He does not break them. He does not break his commitments. Secondly, وَالَّذِينَ, and those who يَصِلُونَ, they join. يَصِلُونَ from the root letters, waw sad lam. وَصَلَ يَصِلُ is to join something. To maintain the link, to not break the link. So those who join, what? مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ, what Allah has commanded, bihi with it, أَن يُوصَلَ, that it be joined. They join what Allah has ordered to be joined. What is it that Allah has ordered us that it must be joined? It must be connected. It must never be severed. What is it? That first of all, blood relationships. Silatul Rahim. Family relationships. With relatives, with kinsfolk. It should not be severed. It should not be severed. So they join the relationships. And this is the first meaning and the most important meaning of this part of the ayah. And how is this done? That a person is good towards his relatives and he does not sever this bond at all. The Prophet ﷺ said that al-wasil, the one who joins relationships, is not the one who recompenses the good done to him by his relatives. That just because they are good to him, he is good in return. But rather, al-wasil is the one who keeps good relations with those relatives who had severed the bond of kinship with him. Do you understand? الَّذِينَ يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ. That, what does it mean? That a person joins his relationship with who? Those people who cut off from him. Because always amongst relatives, there's always something or the other going on. If you think about it, no family is saved from family politics. In every family, whether it's immediate or extended, there's always some kind of family politics. The brother is not talking to the uncle and the sister is not talking to the someone, and there's always something or the other going on. And we think that joining relationships means that if a person is being good to us, we also are good towards them. If they have invited us to their house, we should also invite them. If they have given us a gift, we should also give them a gift. But if they are not good to us, that means we are also not good to them. If they don't call us, we also don't call them. This is what we think is joining relations. But what did the Prophet ﷺ say? That joining relations is that the one who cuts off from you, you join with him. Sometimes we get very hurt when certain family members don't call us. They never come over to our house. They perhaps live in the same city and we complain, why don't they call us? We should think, when did we last call them? When did we last ask about them? When did we last invite them? We have to check ourselves. So وَالَّذِينَ, and those who يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ. They join their relationships. They don't cut them off. They try their best to maintain them. And secondly, مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلْ, this refers to the relationship of muwalat with the believers. The relationship of friendship with the believers, the fellow Muslims. The relationship of iman. That they maintain friendship with the rest of the believers. Do you understand? They maintain friendship with who? With the rest of the believers. Because the believers are like one body. Isn't it? That's what the Prophet ﷺ said. The believers are like one body. Is it that you completely ignore a part of your body? You never care about your hand. You say, I don't like this finger of mine. I don't bother cutting the nail. I don't bother washing it. Do you ever do that? No. Can you ever neglect a part of your body? No, you cannot. It's a part of you. It's a part of you. Yes, it's possible that some parts are more important to you and others are less important, but regardless, your body is your body and you pay attention to all of it. Similarly, the believers must stay connected with one another. They must have friendship with one another. This is very, very important. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to do that. And many times it happens that we just know one another. Like for example, so many of us come here every single day. We know one another only in the classroom. But on the weekends, in the holidays, we have no idea where that person who sits next to me in class every day, where she's from, where she goes, what she does, where she lives. We have no idea what she's going through. We have no idea. Not at all. And sometimes it's simply because we don't show any interest. We need to check ourselves. How well do we know one another outside of the class? Sometimes when a person is absent, is not coming for let's say a week, maybe a month, we have no idea where they are, who they are, why they're not there. And when they come back, then we're like, okay, where were you? And they tell us that they were extremely ill. We don't even notice if somebody is not there. This is not right. This does not suit Muslims. وَالَّذِينَ يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِأَن يُوصَلْ. They stay connected. They keep a check on one another. They encourage one another, strengthen one another, motivate one another. If one of them is falling behind, they encourage them. If somebody is not doing their homework, they encourage them. If somebody is feeling sad, they talk to them. They share with one another. They have friendship. And it shouldn't just be certain people, because sometimes we only select certain people and the rest of them, we pass by them, we don't bother smiling, we don't bother greeting them, we don't bother asking them how they are doing, who they are, where they're from. We just like to stay within our inner circle. And sometimes people pass by us, we don't even look at them in the eye. Sometimes I'm amazed. Sometimes I'm walking by and some people, they just pretend as if the other person does not exist. Really, non-existent. At least look up. At least meet the other in the eye. At least smile. At least say salam. Say something. Have a bond. Would you do that with your sister? Would you do that with your best friend? No. Believers, all of them are supposed to be friends with one another. And there's no room of abandoning a believer, not talking to them, completely disconnecting with them for a long period of time. For more than 3 days. So, وَالَّذِينَ يَصِلُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلْ. And thirdly, this also refers to مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلْ. What Allah has commanded that it should be connected is iman, meaning they maintain their iman. They maintain their iman. Iman is something that you cannot cut off. So they maintain it. They keep trying to increase it. Then this second point, that they stay well connected with one another. We learned earlier in Surah At-Tawbah that وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. They are close friends of one another. If we don't even know one another's names, if we don't even know one another by face, we have no idea who the other person is, what they're going through in life, how can we support one another? The objective of this friendship is not so that we just sit and talk. No. The objective is so that we motivate one another. We help one another. We strengthen one another. Like that hadith that the believers are like a solid structure. So, وَيَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ. This is one quality, that they connect what Allah has commanded them to connect. And secondly, they fear their Lord. They fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because khashiyya, is such fear that is based on knowledge. And when a person has this fear of Allah, only then can he maintain relationships. Only then can he stay well connected with people. Only then can he maintain his iman. And if a person does not have the fear of Allah, then what happens? He gets cut off. وَيَخَافُونَ, and they fear سُوءَ الْحِسَابِ, the evil reckoning. What is سُوء الْحِسَابِ? Being accounted for every action. They fear that what if Allah asks me? What if He questions me? What if I'm asked why? What if I'm not forgiven? And because of this fear, they stay far away from committing something that would upset Allah. وَيَخَافُونَ سُوءَ الْحِسَابِ. وَالَّذِينَ, and those who صَبَرُوا, they are patient. Why are they patient? ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِمْ, to seek the pleasure of their Lord. They are patient. Why? Because they want the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are seeking the countenance of Allah. Wajh is literally face. So they want to see the face of Allah. They want the ridwan of Allah. They want that in Jannah they should be able to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of that, they remain patient. And what is patience? Patience is basically of three types. First of all, on the obedience. Patience on obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the ta'ah. For example, you should be praying salah. You should be getting up for Fajr salah. Don't you need sabr to get out of bed, to do wudu, to stand up in salah? You need sabr. Because if you don't have sabr, if you don't control yourself, you're going to stay sleeping in bed for another 2 to 3 hours. Secondly, sabr is also on protecting yourself, stopping yourself from ma'asiyah, from acts of disobedience. That you want to do something wrong, but you control yourself. Like, no, I'm not going to do it. And thirdly, sabr is also in the face of trials and difficulties. Bala. So, وَالَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا, they are patient to seek the wajh of their Lord. Many people do sabr. Even non-believers, they do sabr. When? When they want to achieve something. Like for example, if a person has to go to work early in the morning, no matter how tired he is, even if he's sick, isn't he going to go? Think about it, people who work elsewhere, in worldly institutions, when they have to go to work, they go no matter how sick they are. Because if they don't go, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen? They're going to lose their work. They're going to lose their money. Sometimes they are able to take a leave, but other times they have to leave so early. They have to take their medication with them. They have to book their appointments in the evening. This is what? Sabr. If a person has to walk, if a person has to take the bus, if a person has to drive all the way, he will do it. This is what? Sabr. So many people do sabr. But why? For the sake of dunya. Similarly, sometimes you're standing in the kitchen washing dishes, your back is hurting, but you do sabr over that. Why? Because you have to have your kitchen clean. You're cleaning the house, you're physically hurting, you just want to sit down with a cup of tea and relax, read a book, but you don't do that. What do? You do sabr and you clean. So many people do sabr for the sake of dunya, but they do sabr for the sake of who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which means that they remain steadfast on acts of obedience. They stay far away from acts of disobedience. And when they're going through some difficulty, they don't complain. They get up for Fajr no matter how difficult it is. They stay sitting, they read the Quran no matter how much they want to sleep at that time. They make sure they read their adhkar. They make sure they pray their nafil. They make sure they recite the Quran. They do different things. Why? To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yes, although it's very difficult, but they will still do it. Because ultimately, what's their goal? Wajhi Rabbihim. They want to see Allah. Because remember that hadith? That once the moon was full, and the Sahaba were with the Prophet ﷺ, and he said that you will be able to see your Lord just like this full moon without any difficulty. And in order to do that, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? Don't you know about that hadith? That you make sure you pray your Fajr and Asr. The two cool prayers. Remember? So make sure you pray both of them on time. Now a person is in bed. It's Fajr time. The time is going. And then he remembers, I want to see the face of Allah. ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِمْ. Is he going to get sabr then? Yes. So وَالَّذِينَ صَبَرُوا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ رَبِّهِمْ, seeking the face, seeking the pleasure of their Lord. وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and they established the salah, fulfilling its pillars and its conditions. Why? To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَنفَقُوا, and they spend مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ, from what we have provided them. How do they spend? سِرًّا, secretly, وَعَلَانِيَةً, and also openly. سِرًّا, secretly. And when is charity given secretly? Or when is it proper to give charity secretly? When it's voluntary charity, when it's nafl sadaqah. Why? Because when you give it secretly, other people are not going to find out about it. That's going to keep your niyyah pure. It's going to keep your intention pure. Or for example, if you're trying to help a person and you're giving it in their hand, again, you should give it how? Secretly. Why? So that the other person is not ashamed before others. And alaniya, publicly, when is charity given publicly? When it is zakat, when it is mandatory. Why? So that other people can testify to your Islam. Other people can also be encouraged. Other people do not doubt your faith. They testify to your faith. And also alaniyatan, why? When you are giving in a cause. Like for example, if you are spending for example, a masjid, a particular cause, then at that point, if you spend openly, then other people are going to be encouraged. Isn't it so? Other people will be encouraged. So those who spend from what we have provided them, sirran wa alaniya, and this is very important, from what we have provided them. Because many people think that it's okay to commit theft and then take that money and give it to the poor and needy. That's not the correct way. What's the correct way? That whatever you have from your pocket, you spend. And also one more point, that spending secretly and openly, meaning spending by night and by day. Secretly by night, alaniyatan, openly, meaning by day. So what does it show? They're spending all the time. All the time. They haven't just reserved the sadaqat for the month of Ramadan or for the days of Dhul Hijjah, but rather they give all the time, whenever they have the opportunity. وَيَدْرَؤُونَ, and they avert, from the root letters dal or hamza. They avert بِالْحَسَنَةِ, with the good, السَّيِّئَةَ, the evil. Meaning when they encounter some evil, when they come across some evil, when people behave with them in an evil way, then how do they counter that? How do they repel that? How do they avert that evil? With good. يَدْرَؤُونَ, from the root letters dal ra hamza, and the ra is to avert something, to push something away, to remove it. Why is it that they avert evil with good? Because evil can only be removed by good. You cannot remove evil with evil. For example, if your hands are dirty, how are you going to wash your hands? With clean water or dirty water? Clean water. If you wash your hands with dirty water, your hands are only going to get more dirty. Similarly, if you're washing clothes, they're already dirty, but you use dirty water, it's going to make your clothes even more dirty. You don't fight fire with fire. What do you fight it with? Water. Or something of the like. Something that will extinguish it. Because innal hasanat yudhibna sayyi'at. It's the good deeds that erase the bad deeds. It's not that bad deeds erase bad deeds. It's good deeds that erase bad deeds. So this is why وَيَدْرَؤُونَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ السَّيِّئَةَ. And this teaches us a very important lesson. If we have to correct someone, if somebody is making a mistake, how should we correct them? How? By yelling at them? By humiliating them? No. That's not the way of correcting someone. By talking to them in a nice way, by giving them sincere advice. Not by publicizing their mistakes. This is not the way of fighting evil. So وَيَدْرَؤُونَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ السَّيِّئَةَ. Now, as-sayyi'ah refers to two things. First of all, it refers to other people's evil towards them. When people deal with them in an evil way, like for example, they behave with them ignorantly, they hurt them physically, they hurt them emotionally, mentally, they show bad behavior to them, they offend them, how do they fix it? How do they avert it? How do they deal with it? with hasana. And what is hasana then? With their patience, with their tolerance, with their good behavior, with their wisdom. If someone is behaving ignorantly, how are we supposed to behave with them? More ignorantly? No, with wisdom. If somebody is behaving illogically, what are you supposed to do? Try to make them understand? It's not going to work. What do you have to do? Just be patient. If somebody is yelling at you, should you yell back? No, it's not going to make a difference. What should you do? What should you do? Start whispering. Or start talking in a very low voice and see their voice coming down as well. Try it. Try it. Like for example, if a person is yelling at you and you start talking in a very calm way, it's going to make them calm as well. And if you start yelling, it's going to make them yell even more. So وَيَدْرَؤُونَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ السَّيِّئَةَ. So a sayyi'ah first of all refers to other people evil towards them. Secondly, a sayyi'ah also refers to evil committed by a person himself. Like for example, a person commits a major mistake. A person has done something wrong. Like for example, you feel that you said something that you shouldn't have said. Then what should you do? Live with that guilt and say, forget about it? I'm doomed anyway. No. This is not how a person should think. What should he do? He should avert that sin with al-hasana, with a good deed. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَتْبِعِ السَّيِّئَةَ الْحَسَنَةَ تَمْحُهَا. And follow a bad deed with what? A good deed. And that good deed, what is it going to do? It's going to erase that bad deed. وَيَدْرَؤُونَ بِالْحَسَنَةِ السَّيِّئَةَ. And this is a very important principle, that every time you make a mistake, what should you do? Follow it up by a good deed, so that it will be erased. أُولَٰئِكَ those, لَهُمْ for them, عُقْبَ الدَّارِ the consequence of the home. عُقْبَ from the root letters, عَيْن قَاف بَ. And عُقْبَ is basically outcome. But what kind of outcome is it? According to some, a good end, a good outcome. And there is another word that is used for outcome, which is عاقبة. عاقبة. And عاقبة is generally used for a good outcome. But there's another word which is عقاب. So one is عقبة and عاقبة. This is what? Good outcome. Another is عقاب and عقوبة. That is what? Bad outcome. So أولئك لهم عقبى الدار. What does the home refer to? The home of the hereafter. So they will have the good outcome in that home of the hereafter. And what is that good end? Paradise. Because in the hereafter there are two ends. In the home of the hereafter there are two ends. Either hellfire or paradise. They will have a good end. And what is that good end? Jannah. In Surah Fussilat, ayah number 34-35, with regards to averting evil with good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ. That good and evil are not the same. لا تستوي, they're not equal. إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Repel evil with one which is better. Why? Because فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. Then verily he between whom and you there was enmity, that person will become as though he was a close friend to you. Whereas if somebody is dealing with you ignorantly, yelling at you, and you start yelling at them, what's going to happen? The enmity, the hatred, the tension is going to increase. And if you deal with them in a good way, then what's going to happen? They're going to come closer to you. The friendship will increase.